Welcome to Nashville. There you go. Very cool. One of the popular TV shows was a show that it was, as my son described it, it's Sons of Anarchy on a horse. Yellowstone. If you watch Yellowstone, you tune every week in to see what's going to happen and how crazy Beth is. And I can't even imagine waking up next to her. Or if you will, right? So oh my goodness. And the whole show's premise is basically, if you hurt my family, we're going to hurt you. We're going to hurt you, right? We're going to get back at you. And power and money and sex is used to control and to inflict harm and pain. And yet you watch it. Now, I'm not endorsing this show at all, and that you should not watch it with your children. But I kind of hope that this is not how real life is. It'd be that's not how it really is it? There's not people doing that all the time, is there? And yet there seems to be. I think this is how life was in the first century. I think that in the first century, the only way you could get back at people or have power or influence is to take it out on them. If someone does evil to you, you do evil back, and you don't let them get away with stuff. And because you think if I let them get away with this, they're just going to do more, and so you inflict pain back on them. But the kingdom of heaven operates on a whole different level. So Paul has to tell us twice in Romans chapter 12 these words. Romans 12:17, never pay back evil with more evil. Do things in such a way that everyone can see you are honorable. Romans 12:21, don't let evil conquer you, but conquer evil by doing good. In the Old Testament, God gave instructions on how to handle things that come up between people and between nations. Laws, if you will, to help govern how to behave in a world. And so he gave them these laws. Exodus 21. This is an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a hand for a hand, a foot for a foot. Leviticus 24. Anyone who injures another person must be dealt with according to the injury inflicted. A fracture for a fracture, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Whatever anyone does to injure another person must be paid back in kind. Now, those instructions were not for people. They were for the judge. The judge was to give penalty that was equal to the crime. Not more, not less. So this is not people, you were not supposed to take matters into your own hands. When you read the Bible, go, I guess, God's okay with me inflicting, you took from me, I'll take from you. No, this is when the judge would decide if you were guilty, what your punishment is. Because some judges were being unfair. They were very lenient. People could just walk away. And we know, right? We know some frustrations with that as well sometimes, right? And we also know that some judges could be harsher than others. And we might know that frustration as well. So God gives no, the punishment should fit the crime. But people, you're not supposed to take matters into your own hands. You're not the judge. We have judges, we have law, all that kind of stuff. And so, but people were taking matters into their own hands because maybe they didn't trust their government to be able to control the people. So after some time, even people, they didn't even care about it. They wanted to bring justice. They wanted to bring justice their own way. And Jesus steps into a world that is he steps into a place where this is radical teaching for the people. This would have been so new and so weird and so hard to understand. Here's what Jesus says in Matthew 5:38. You have heard the law that says the punishment must match the injury, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So they all lean in. They yes, we know this one. We've memorized this one. We live it out all the time, or we see it lived out all the time in our neighborhood. And we see it lived out in neighborhoods in Omaha as well. You hurt us, we'll hurt you kind of stuff, right? You take from me, I'll take from you. I want you to pay for what you've done. So Jesus is you've heard the law. I'm yes, we like that law. Or at least we want to be, whatever. So, but he says, but I say, do not resist an evil person. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, offer the other cheek also. If you are sued in court and your shirt is taken from you, give your coat too. If a soldier demands that you carry his gear for a mile, carry it 2 miles. Give to those who ask. Don't turn away from those who want to borrow. You have heard the law that says, love your neighbor, hate your enemy. That's how we were doing. Maybe that one wasn't written down too well, but this is how we kind of live, right? I'm going to love my neighbor, but hate my enemy. This is how we live. But I say, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. This is radical thinking and very tough for the folks to get their heads around. Like if we live this way, people will just take advantage of us. If we live this way, we'll never, it'll just be chaos. There needs to be some sort of justice, some sort of order, some way to do life. And Jesus is telling us, no, actually it's not. Whoever slaps you on the right cheek, turn the other and let them slap you, that one too. To slap a person was not a violent activity. It was more like an insult. It wasn't to hurt people. It wasn't to harm anybody, but it was to insult them. And so he says, again, if somebody insults you, you don't insult them back. We play that all the time. Somebody calls us a name, we call them a name. Well, what is it? Pardon? Yeah. What? I'm rubber, you're glue. You know what I was thinking about, right? I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever hits me sticks to you, right? And so, thank you, Rich. We'll stick together. So this is kind of how we do life, right? You hurt me, I'll hurt you. You insult me, you insult my family, you insult my brother, you insult, and so that's kind of how it's like, actually, that's not what we're going to do. It's like, well, wait a minute. What if they insult me? Then you let them do it again. Well, that makes zero sense. If I let them do it again, they'll just keep doing it again and again and again. I just get them picked on all the time. And those are hard, this is hard to walk away from a situation like that. It's really hard. If someone's going to sue you, he says, if they're going to sue you for your shirt, give them your coat. Well, why would I do that? Why would I give them more than what is required? That makes zero sense. Like, I don't even want to give them my shirts. I don't even know why I have to, but I have to, the law says. And now I have to, Jesus says, well, just give them a little bit more than that. If the law requires you to give your shirt, give your coat. Well, that's my coat. Why would I go that direction? That makes zero sense. In fact, I want to sue them. I'm going to sue them to get my coat back. I'm going to sue them, right? And you probably have been in those worlds where I'm just going to get back. Somebody takes advantage of you or sues you or your business. Well, I'll see what I can do. And you get people involved and all of a sudden, right? And it just blows up. If someone forces you to go 1 mile, you go 2. What was happening here is that Rome was occupying Judea and Israel, all that kind of stuff. So the law was, if a Roman soldier told you to carry his stuff for 1 mile, you had to do it. What? So and they just did it to bother the Jews. This was a good way to bother them. And can you imagine, as a Jew, you had to put on that helmet or carry that helmet and stinky stuff and all the stuff that you don't want to carry. It's like, here's this, carry this, carry this. And it was just very insulting and it was so bothersome. Again, because these are heathen people and now they're making me do stuff I don't want to do. And Jesus said, when you get, and they all knew where a mile was, and the soldiers knew where a mile was, and all that kind of stuff. They knew about how far it was. And so typically, they get done with a mile and they just drop their stuff. Just drop it. Well, Jesus said, okay, what we're going to do, and this is crazy, I know, but we're going to carry it 2 miles. And I'm guessing they thought, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would I go an extra mile for a heathen soldier? Why would I do that? That makes zero sense. And again, most of the time in Jesus' world that he calls us into, a lot of stuff just doesn't make any sense. Again, they couldn't make the Roman soldiers do anything. So it wasn't an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth. It was like, they make me do it, I have to do it, and I hate the whole thing. And guess what happens in that world? Resentment builds up. Over time, you're being oppressed, you're being hurt, and you have zero power, zero way to get back at that Roman, like you can't do it. The only thing you can kind of do is drop the stuff after a mile. That's all you could do. So he says, so I'm sure they were thinking, I can't believe you want us to carry those heathen soldier people stuff for another mile. No, thank you. I might not mind helping somebody and carrying somebody's stuff, if they need help, like friends of mine or, my neighbor or whatever. But the Roman guy, I'm just really, like if somebody says, hey, would it be okay could you help me this weekend? We're moving and I could use a pickup truck. Oh, okay. But if somebody you don't like says, I need your pickup truck. No. Yeah, I'm just taking your pickup truck. You're required by law to help me. Well, then we hate the law and we hate everything about it. So this is where we get the term go the extra mile. But now, like when we say go the extra mile, we don't really think about this. We think about working out a little bit more. I'm going to go the extra mile. I'm going to work out more than the next kid next to me, right? I'm going to make the team by going an extra mile, running an extra mile. My coach says run 5 miles. I'm going to run 6. I'm just going to do it because I'm going to go the extra mile. An extra mile might mean in the office I'm going to stay an extra hour later and I'm going to produce more. I'm just going to go the extra mile because I want to get promoted. And if I go the extra mile, I'm going to get promoted over the person who doesn't even go, right? He doesn't go the extra mile. Extra miles get noticed. Going extra mile gets noticed on the ball team, or it gets noticed in the classroom, it gets noticed in the boardroom, right? So I'm going to go the extra mile. But that's not what this passage means. Going the extra mile has to do with turning my enemy into my friend. I suppose a Roman soldier would have been shocked if a Jew said, I'll just go another mile. What? You don't have to. It's a lovely day. Let's just go for a stroll. What? I was thinking about maybe we could grab lunch afterwards. Like this is no, right? I don't think the Romans were interested at all in a relationship here. I don't think they were like, I'm looking for a new friend. I thought maybe you do. I don't think that's it. But maybe a little bit of things might just kind of calm down between the soldier and the And maybe they'd see life a little bit differently if we just go the extra mile. There's an interesting moment in the life of Jesus that happens in the book of Luke, a turning point in the life of Jesus, if you will. He's heading toward Jerusalem, so it's getting close. It's getting really close to the end. It's time, and he knows the path he has to take. In Luke chapter 9, verse 51, it says, as the time drew near for him to ascend to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. And I really like that thought. He set out like he's going, and he knows, and he's after it. And he's not avoiding it. He sent messengers ahead to a Samaritan village to prepare for his arrival. But the people of the village did not welcome Jesus because he was on his way to Jerusalem. When James and John saw this, they said to Jesus, Lord, should we call down fire from heaven to burn them up? What? I mean, you might think it, but you shouldn't say that to Jesus. But Jesus turned and rebuked them. So they went on to another village. Here's the residents of this little village in Samaria, and they're hostile to the disciples and to Jesus. And it probably had to do with religious kind of stuff, like they knew that he was heading to Jerusalem to worship there. The Jews worship there. Samaritans didn't worship there. We talked about this before. Is there was just racial and religious tension there and hatred. And so this little village in this little place said, no, you can't come into our town. And you wouldn't think that would be the case, but it was just, I don't know who got hurt. Like, I don't know if some Jews before had hurt the people in the town or cheated the people in the town. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if there was just so much built up animosity towards the Jews that they said, absolutely, you're not welcome here. Not in my town, not in here, not here at all. I'm sorry. I don't care how good you are, or how nice you are, or how lovely you are a Jew, you get out. And so that was what was happening here. Well, we know that a couple of disciples are really ticked off. And these are not just like, these are heavyweight disciples. And they've been with Jesus for 3 years. So this is fascinating. It's like these are heavyweight disciples, James and John in the top 3, Mount Rushmore people, and they say, would it be okay if we call down fire from heaven and burn up this little stupid village? These are people by now you would think they would know the life and the heart of Jesus at all. They wouldn't be, but this is what they said to Jesus. Would it be okay? These are seasoned disciples, and Jesus rebukes them. Hey, we want to call down fire from heaven. These are as bad as Sodom and Gomorrah people. Let's burn them, and nobody will care. Like, nobody's going to miss this little stupid village in Samaria. And in fact, they've insulted you, the Son of God. Let's burn them up. Have you ever wanted to call down fire from heaven just for fun? Well, yeah, like you're driving, somebody cuts you off. If you had the power to do that, wouldn't it be great? Like, somebody insults you, right? You wouldn't want to inflict, I would say that we wouldn't inflict total pain, but a little bit of a taser kind of feel. And then they'd wake up and go, oh, I must have been stupid. Oh, okay. That would be great. But that's not what, they were asking. Like, we're just going to annihilate these people. We feel like they're right on the same level as Sodom and Gomorrah. Or maybe they're on the same level as the prophets of Baal when Elijah calls down and they all die. I think that's where we're at with these people, Jesus. I can't believe they've done this to you. And Jesus rebukes them. He rebukes them. And then they go to another village. Maybe go a second mile. They walk away and they go to another village. And it probably was a Samaritan village. Proverbs tells us what will happen if we continue with the evil for evil kind of thing, or the eye for an eye kind of thing. If we live according to this is what life would be like. Proverbs 17:13 says, if you repay good with evil, evil will never leave your house. It'll just keep the cycle going. If we keep evil going, it'll just keep going, right? Evil's not going to depart. When we repay evil with evil, we just keep the whole thing going. The only way to stop this is to stop doing that, right? Ever have that happen in your family? Someone says something and you just can't let it go? You say something back and they won't let it go? And back and forth, you volley it back and forth. No one seems to win. Everyone seems to lose. And you sit there smugly going, well, I told you, And you feel pretty good about yourself, and they feel pretty good about themselves. And I don't know why, but I talk to people all the time. So I haven't talked with my brother for 5 years. I haven't talked to my dad for 20 years. It's quite possible if somebody said something somewhere along the line and everybody dug in. It's just like, I'm not going to do it. And that's the cycle. When we just keep doing that, it happens all the time. We may not want to bring evil to their home, but we delight in it. Like if they have some sort of misfortune. Oh yeah, I heard they lost their job. That's too bad. Oh yeah, they got divorced. Isn't that too bad? I guess what goes around comes around. They got what was coming. Sometimes we have an enemies list and we don't even know why or how they got on the list, but they're kind of that way. When my son Mitch played football for the University of Sioux Falls, his freshman year, he calls and says, "Dad, this is Red Raider Week." I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "Well, we're playing the Red Raiders, Northwestern, a little college in Orange City, Iowa." I said, "Oh, okay, cool." And he goes, "We hate them." I said, "What?" He goes, "I don't know why, but we do. We just hate them." And so the whole week they're gearing up to beat the Red Raiders. And he says, there's a shirt right now that we wear that says, "How do Red Raiders count to 10? 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5. And I don't know, somewhere along the line that it was a big rivalry, but you know, it's like and sometimes we have rivalries, right? You know, that, you know, an ex or a, you know, well, she took my boyfriend, you know, all that kind of stuff. And we have this hit list and we want to inflict pain and hatred just breeds more hatred. Responding in love, somehow, love is transformative. This life that we're now in is more radical than ever before. Instead of seeking retribution, because we think if we seek retribution, it'll bring balance. That's how we bring balance. Jesus says, no, that's not how we bring balance. We show mercy. The world can be pretty evil. So Jesus counters that. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Now, we quote that ever so often, but we probably don't necessarily want to live that way. But we know it's true that more darkness isn't going to do anything. More evil's not going to do it. Yeah, but if I just let them get away with this stuff, right, it's just going to be like they're going to, but only light can drive out that kind of life. Or only love can drive out hate. Matthew 5:44 says, "But I say, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Oof. Love your enemies? I don't know if you have an enemies list, people in your past that you try to avoid, to ignore, maybe even here at church. There's been some people that have hurt you or maybe said some stuff, or there's some gossip going on, and you just you avoid, and it doesn't go well, and you haven't dealt honestly with that for quite some time, and frustrated by that. In fact, so much so that you don't want to go to church, or you don't want to go to that service where they're going, or that kind of stuff. So I've had people like, "Well, the good thing about Stonebridge is we got multiple services, and I don't have to go to service with them." Like, oh, okay, I don't know if that's a really good way to deal with it. Avoidance. That's how I like to do it. I like to avoid, right? Not that I have a big enemies list, but there are people who have done some things, and you kind of I just don't want to see them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them at a funeral. I don't want to see them at a Hy-Vee grocery store. I don't want to see them anywhere. And dealing with that is that's just me, right? Not that I'm wanting to inflict total harm on them. I just don't want to be around them. Like, okay, well, somehow I have to love my enemies and pray for them. Pray for the people that have persecuted me. Oh, my goodness. And that's probably extra mile kind of stuff. This is extra mile. Will I pray for those who've hurt my family, said some terrible stuff about me? Okay. Can I mention them by name without swearing? Jesus called down fire from heaven. More my attitude. All right. One of the early church leaders was a man named Polycarp, and he was martyred. And this is one of his prayers, and we'll end with this. Pray for all the saints Pray also for kings and powers and rulers, and for those who persecute and hate you, and the enemies of the cross, in order that your fruit may be evident among all people, that you may be perfect in him. All right. Would you stand with me and we'll pray it? For some of us today, Lord, this is awfully close. Like we've had it out with some people lately. We've had animosity built up. In fact, some of it is we want to protect our hearts, and maybe there's some really violent things that have happened that we have to say, no, you can't. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, how do I live in such a way to not repay evil for evil and not rejoice in their afflictions? And somehow, some way, bring peace in our own hearts. May it start today. In Christ I pray, amen. All right, good to see you all. We'll see you next weekend.